Yo, what is good, YouTube? Warstu here with a video on Batman Arkham Knight series for Ben Affleck. We're gonna have to debunk this because I don't like the way this article is getting people's hopes up. I was sent this article by a lot of people. I don't understand why, because the track record of where it's coming from isn't very good. So we're gonna debunk the whole thing. So if you are new around here, guys, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the videos. Check us out on Instagram at Warstu if you want to see the face behind the voice, or just check us out on twitch.tv/Warstu. We'll be streaming on there quite a lot. All the links are in the description. Right, let's get into this video. So as we know, AT&T are interested in working with Ben Affleck for a project, but this project is an Arkham Knight. Pulling on the heartstrings. Arkham Knight, part of the Batman Arkham trilogy, of such a great game, such a great bunch of games, and you're trying to pull on the heartstrings. I mean, one thing that makes me laugh about this is Ben Affleck was gonna die in the Flash movie, then he wasn't, then he was, then he wasn't, then he wasn't, then he was. Okay, I'll tell you the truth, guys. As far as we know from credible, reliable, real sources that aren't made up, Ben Affleck was never returning to die in a movie. Do you really think Mr. Alcoholic Mr. I'm done, I'm dusted, I don't want anything to do with this because I'm gonna drink myself to death would return in a Flash movie under Walter Hamada to die in a movie that he's not really a main star of, although because it was leaked that Ben Affleck was gonna be in the Flash movie before DC Fandom last year, Ben Affleck is one of the biggest pulls of this movie, which is very interesting. It really is, because this website also suggests that they reported it first, that Ben Affleck was gonna be having some kind of TV show. No, this was reported from the guys over at Cultured Nerd, and also the Light Podcast have been speaking about this for over 1 year. So if this does happen, and if all the information and all the reports that are going around, even though Zack Snyder literally reported what the Cultured Nerd said a month later, with details about Wayne Manor being destroyed, the kind of taking down of Batman and all that good stuff, yeah, it should go to the Cultured Nerd. So I feel like this article is really pulled from the Cultured Nerd and the Light Podcast, because these guys have been talking about this for over a year. So let's go over this fluff piece and just see what it has to say, because I already know that there is not an Arkham Knight series coming. That is just, it's kind of laughable, guys. It really is. But seeing as I do have a bit of a voice in the DC community on YouTube, it's pulling on the Snyderverse fans. It's pulling on the heartstrings. It's like, yeah, the Snyderverse will be continued, but this is more than that. It's saying you're getting a Batman Arkham series on AT&T via HBO Max, which realistically, there is no evidence to back this up. Ben Affleck wanted to make a solo movie with Jeff Johns to co-write the story. No, Ben Affleck didn't want to work with Jeff Johns. He really didn't. He really didn't. Ben Affleck pulled back because they kept trying to change his script, even though Olivia was like, yeah, this is the best Batman story I've ever read in my life. So we know the original Ben Affleck movie was going to be absolute fire, and it had Joe Manganiello, Deathstroke, and Warstu had a bit of a cameo role in it as well. But the idea was never an Arkham Asylum-based story. As we know, Rocksteady made Arkham Asylum. The concept was actually diving into Bruce Wayne's own insanity, and would have been even darker than Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. Ben Affleck hired Robert Richardson as a cinematographer, according to Richardson. The script. So yeah, apparently there was a script, but it wasn't love. In other words, Ben Affleck wasn't completely satisfied with it. But if you go back to all the information that came out around there, the script was absolutely freaking love. So I think we would have seen something a little darker than what we've seen in the past, and more into the individual story, who was inside Batman, what element may be sane, which element may actually not be sane. So yeah, a lot of this article is actually fluff piece, to be fair. And then it just goes on to say he was replaced by Matt Reeves. No, that's not actually true. He wasn't replaced by Matt Reeves. Ben Affleck stepped away himself. Ben Affleck was never fired. He just wanted to step away from the project. So he wasn't replaced. That was the new director. He wasn't replaced. Ben Affleck kind of stepped away. Reeves decided to go on a fresh route, and then obviously a new script with Robert Pattinson. Yeah, that is partially true. AT&T interested in a Batman Arkham Knight series for Ben Affleck? No, they're not. I mean, we go back to the Cultured Nerd article. That is where all this information comes from. It seemed that Ben Affleck Batman was at an end. Furthermore, Warner Bros. seem not interested in getting Ben Affleck again. However, he is still yet to appear in the 2022 Flash movie. Well, they've only been shooting it for a few weeks, and yeah, he's pretty much in there. Ben Affleck shot new scenes for Zack Snyder's Justice League. He was back as Batman, and according to my good friend okay, we're not actually good friends. According to Zack Snyder, he absolutely loved it. After its successful release, AT&T wants more. This is interesting here, because AT&T publicly do not want Justice League 2. They might be be saying different things behind the scenes. Like, how I find this interesting is AT&T is a mobile phone giant. They know nothing about movie and TV shows. Yes, they know how to make money, but they're also in a massive debt, a massive deficit of debt. They are, let's be honest. So it's interesting how it keeps pulling on AT&T. So in theory, yes, AT&T could override Warner Bros, Warner Media, but they haven't. The proposal show by AT&T will be influenced by the game Arkham Knight, which is part of the big series Batman games, which also include Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Origins. Yes, it's a very popular game, very good franchise, really good. In fact, it's one of my favorite games. So let's get back to the kind of the meat of this fluff piece. Even though the series would tie into the Snyderverse, there are no plans for Zack Snyder to be involved. And since this is based on that universe, Robert Pattinson is not planned to be attached. AT&T hasn't greenlit the project. They will still have to negotiate with Ben Affleck perhaps this summer. The new show can't start without him. Well, actually, it can't start until the project's greenlit. The project isn't greenlit, and the actual project isn't Arkham Knight. Zack Snyder has already literally told you what it is. It's the backstory. We're going to see the death of Robin. We're going to see Joker. We're going to see why Deathstroke hates him. It's more the backstory to do with all that kind of stuff. This has been public knowledge, and Joe Manganiello has spoke about it. It's been out there for such a long time. Zack's briefly spoke about it. So what this article here is doing is it's pulling on these Zack Snyder fanboys, or the Snyderverse fanboys franchise, essentially. The Snyderverse, which, yeah, well, we're a big part of it. We do talk about it, but there is no Batman Arkham Knight planned series. There really isn't. And one thing I also find interesting is if information keeps coming from AT&T like weekly, that's not how this scoop game works. You don't get information constantly. So this Batman Arkham Knight series, I hate to tell you guys, it's not true. It's not happening. But there is something happening with an HBO Max series for Ben Affleck, but it's not going to be a random Batman Arkham Knight series. I really think that would be a good concept, but this is pure fantasy. This is a fantasy article. It really is, because there's no sources. Yes, I get it. You can't reveal your source, but there's no quotes from anyone at AT&T, Warner Media, Warner Bros. I mean, Warner Bros didn't really want to work with Ben Affleck again, but they are, because he's in the Flash movie. But it is interesting how AT&T hasn't greenlit the project. Okay, so the way this title is worded is it's put AT&T is interested in Batman Arkham series from Ben Affleck. No, I've actually vetted this article. I've spoke to some industry insiders who are quite respectable. They've got good track records, and I sent them this article and was like, yeah, I'm going to cover it on the channel because I've got a fairly decent audience for Ben Affleck. And they all said they've not heard absolutely anything about this at all. So unless this is a top secret project that no one knows anything about, then this isn't the case. Everyone else I spoke about said, yeah, the plans are still on the table for the original plans for the backstory of how Robin died, the beef with Jared Leto Joker, Joe Manganiello Deathstroke, all that kind of good stuff. So that's still on the cards. Sorry if I'm going to have to kind of bait you with the Batman Arkham in the title, but I will put a question mark because it's not real. Now, no disrespect to whoever wrote this article or anything like that, but I'm just dissecting it, and a lot of this doesn't even add up. This is not the case. It's really not the case. So, as far as I know, there could be some information coming out soon about the HBO Max Ben Affleck story. Could, but it's not going to be a Batman Arkham story. I hate to tell you guys, it's not happening. So like always, guys, all the information in this video is subjective, and it's opinionated based on what I know, what I've been told, and what I think. Don't take everything I say too seriously. We're just here to have a good time and put out some information with a spin. So like always, guys, check us out on Twitter, WarstuG, Instagram at Warstu, if you want to see the face behind the voice. And also check us out on twitch.tv/Warstu. We're trying to grow there. We're nearly at 200 followers on Twitch, which would be cool. So like always, guys, I'll catch you later.